Hi everyone, I am going to tackle about family pedigree. My family or the Gannon's family pedigree. But before we proceed on my family's pedigree, I will just discuss about what is a family pedigree, what it's all about. So a family pedigree, it is a lineage that can be analyzed to investigate inheritance of human characteristics. It is likely a flowchart through a new generation to show ancestral relationship and inheritance of our ancestral to a present generation. So with this, what is phenotype? A phenotype is an observable physical properties of an organism that includes appearance, development, and behaviors. So with this, I already discussed what is a family pedigree and a phenotype. Then we will proceed to the discussion of my family pedigree. Alright, hi everyone. So I am going to tackle about the Gannon's family pedigree. So in here, along with this discussion, before we proceed of what you are seeing right now, along with this discussion, we have these objectives, which is to investigate the inherited characteristics through a few generations, which is the first, second, and the third generation. So here is my family pedigree chart. Start with the first generation. The first generation consists of my lolo and nanay. And the second generation consists of my aunties and my uncles. The third generation consists of my cousins and myself, where I belong. This will be the third generation. So based on what you see in here, we have this legend. The four kinds of legend that you have here is the shaded shape and the empty shape. So we'll start with the shaded shape. We have the square shaded, which is for tall women and girls. Shaded circle is for tall men and boys. Empty square is for short women and girls. Empty circle is for short men and boys. That will be the legend. So if we've already seen the legend, we can see here the flow chart or the chart of the family pedigree. So let's start in here. This will be my Lola again, and this will be my Nanay. My Lola is quite tall, my Nanay is short. So we can see here, as we see the legend, the shaded circle is for tall men, which is quite correct. And then the this empty shape square is for short women, which is my Nanay, which is probably correct. So we will proceed now to the second generation. As we can see, the first, the son, my Nanay and Lola do have 4 children, which is 5 children, I'm sorry, which is 4 sons and 1 daughter. So we will start in here with my Popoy. My Popoy is the 4th, and he is quite tall, and he married tall women. In here, you can see my Papanas, which is tall, and he married a short woman. In here, you can see my Papa Nico, which is, he is tall again, and he married a tall woman. And in here, this is my mom, the ninth box, which is empty square. That means my mom is a short woman, and my mom married a short man. And lastly, you can see here my Uncle Nuno, which is a tall man as well, a shaded circle. So we already introduced the first and the second generation. Let's proceed to the third generation. So again, we will start with the first one, which is my Popoy. My Popoy do have 2 children, which is 1 beautiful girl and 1 handsome one, kiddo. This is Jahel and Courtney. So Jahel is tall, Courtney as well is tall. In the next part, we can see that in Papanas, Kuya, this will be Kuya Joseph and Ate Paula. Kuya is tall, but Ate Paula is not. So the third one, they just have 1 children and with 1 child, which is Ivana. Ivana is quite tall as well. In here, you can see my mom, and I am here. I have an ate, which is quite short as well. We are both that short. Not that tall, we don't have this kind of genetically appearance that they do have. But that's quite just fine. That doesn't matter. So in here, you can see the whole chart from first generation to second and to third. So as you can see, there are some of our family that is quite tall, and there are some as well that is quite short. And so as we are looking this family pedigree, we can conclude from our objectives that we have. Again, our objective is to investigate the inherited characteristic, which is the height. We will just focus on the height, which is the inherited characteristic, development, and behaviors. But in here, we are just going to focus on the height of the family generations from first to third generation. So in here, while we are looking on the chart, I will conclude based on the illustration we are seeing, as well on our legends and the objectives that we have in this family pedigree. So the first conclusion that I have here is if one of the parents is tall, then there is a chance that their children are tall too, or vice versa. So example, in here, the second generation, both of them are tall. So it is quite I can say that it's quite impossible that the children that they will be having will be quite small, except if they have genetically dwarfism or any medical matters. But in here, as you can see, they are both tall, but the children that they have is both tall as well, which is the conclusion that I have proved that if both parents is tall, then there is possibly or a big chance that their children will be tall or vice versa. So in here again, we can also see that in here as one of our example, if one parent will be tall and the other will be short, then there is a chance that their children will be tall or short or vice versa again. And we can prove that in here that my papanas is quite tall, but his wife is not. So there we can see here. Kuya Joseph is tall, but Ate Paula is not, which is genetically just fine, scientifically just fine. Because again, on our conclusion, the parent might be tall or short, but the chance of having their the height of their children is vice versa, tall or short. So the second conclusion that I have in here is if both are tall of their children, if both parents are tall, their children are also tall or vice versa. That is just the same as the first one. But the first one is if one of the parent. But on the second part, I already explained it. If both parents are tall, if both parents are short, they will produce short as well and tall as well. And if one parent is just short or tall, then they can possibly just produce two or both talls, both short, or there will be one short or one tall children. So, and really in this case, in this family pedigree that we have here, we can see it clearly that it proves the conclusion that we have and the objective that we are currently trying to have a conclusion from it. So the reference of this family degree is based on the interview, based on the family that I have and the family that I constantly seeing, bond. So that's why I end up with this kind of illustration. And that's all for my family pedigree. And if you have more question about it, then we can just search or find reference of more example of pedigree, not just from the height, but there will be a lot of example that we can do a chart basing the family pedigree. It's again that will not only be a height, and there will be more characteristic, or can be also based on the behavior of one family. So that's all, and thank you.